Hello and welcome back to the podcast. These are the China Stories. I'm Mike Rice, and I'm in Beijing, China. And it looks like we have another outbreak in my neighborhood. So today was a day of leisure. I was going to go out. I've been studying for the Chinese driver's license, which is 2 driving tests and 2 written tests for foreigners from a database of some 1,500 questions. They choose a random sampling of 100 questions that you have to answer in 45 minutes in some of the worst translated text I've ever seen in my life. And we were going to go talk about this and have a couple of beers and get a nice burger or whatever at some nice Western place. So we did that, and as we're sitting there, our phones start to blow up. And our phones are blowing up because people are discussing the rumor, and my phone and his phone, we're both educators, will be, full of people who also do what we do. So that's why our phones are blowing up. I'm not sure anybody else's phones in the restaurant were blowing up, but I know mine were. Ours were. So what was happening, people were starting to discuss the rampant rumor that there had been a bunch of students that had caught or been tested positive for the coronavirus. There weren't ages given. The rumor was kindergarten, but nobody was sure. And so you kind of let that stuff go because in a small community, gossip can spread really quickly, and it's like the whisper in the ear game where you started out with the cat in the hat wore red sneakers, and it gets to the other end of the line, and you're talking about the communist shot the dog with a pickle, and you just go from one to the next. And so you learn, living here in Beijing at least, or in any small community, I'm sure, you learn to ignore a certain amount of chatter. But it didn't stop. And then some people I respect, some people who don't gossip, started saying, here's the skinny I just got from the reports that my Chinese mate, because there's, people come to China, they hook up with Chinese people and get married. It's crazy. So this woman, who I know, started talking about exactly what these articles said, and her husband was translating and she was typing it in. Basically what had happened, of course, is that 4 students had been infected in the Haidian area, and they had been sent home with their books. And then the person I was eating with, also married to a Chinese woman, sent him a message that they had started to close their local market, that the police were there and they were asking people to leave. And this is, a couple of blocks from their house, a market they attend regularly. And now they live about 4 clicks south of me, 4 or 5 clicks south of me. And so that market was being closed and shut down. And I just received a message that the army had moved in force and was closing down that market. So the articles that I had this woman I respect, send me and then translated roughly myself, basically say this. They say that there have been outbreaks, minor, and this, of course, again, remember, this is the Chinese government. There had been outbreaks in 5 provinces, 1 and 2 cases in each of those. And then here in Beijing, there had been a total of 6, including those 4 students. And then it goes on to explain that there had been actually 45 people tested that were asymptomatic. So there's been another resurgence of the disease. Here, less than 2 kilometers from my house, and another larger outbreak about 5 kilometers from my house. So the military and the police, the actual police, have been instructing those that have been hired or have been used to guard local areas to start rechecking cards and making sure that people aren't going where they're not supposed to go. Local neighborhoods are being locked back down. And while I haven't seen it happen here yet, that sort of thing moves fairly quickly, and I'm sure by tomorrow it'll be hard for me to get in and out of my building again. We were just starting to see a certain removal of all the restrictions, and there was a lot of talk about getting the kids back to school, and now that's not happening at all. because the government has shut it down. Not to mention the fact that this, of course, revisits the whole idea that we have somehow once again found ourselves in a situation where the government gets to tell us how to live, and the Chinese don't like it any better than the Americans do. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to let this occur because I can't stop it. But I am going to say this. This is important to me. As important as the disease, believe it or not. Because life isn't just about living. Life is about what you live for and how you live. But it's not just about staying alive. So, all you protesters, you people that are peacefully protesting and attempting to make, blocking traffic even, standing in front of buildings, waving signs, even cursing the president, you peaceful protesters have a right in the Constitution as it was written down to do exactly what you're doing. You looters, you need to be shot. That's my personal opinion. You people that have somehow managed to capture Capitol Hill and turn it into an autonomous zone, what a bunch of LARPers. You lousy loser jerk-offs. The world keeps turning. People keep dying while you're looking for some sort of utopia rather than directly addressing the issues. So, I'm Mike Rice. These are the China stories. I'm in Beijing. And there's another outbreak. And remember, always be courageous and kind. And we'll see you next time.